Hey everybody, RPG here. Today I'm going to show you guys how to set up the AE LightGun on RetroPie. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is we need to actually mount our sensors to our TVs. You can see here that I've got these kind of taped up and they're not easy to actually get sitting in place on your TV. If you've seen my review video on the AE LightGun, then you know that I've talked about this in detail as one of the downsides to this particular setup. But I do have these taped on here. There's actually double-sided tape as well as some packing tape that I put just to kind of reinforce the cables so it doesn't drag these down. The downside to the double-sided tape is these boards actually get pretty warm, and as they warm up, it kind of loosens the adhesive bond that you get between the board and the double-sided tape there. So this is reinforced. You do need to have these set up so they look like this, you know, one on each side of the bottom of your TV or monitor. These cables actually connect right into your Raspberry Pi 4. Same thing with your light gun. The other end of this needs to connect directly into your Raspberry Pi 4's USB port. All right, so once we've connected our sensors to the USB ports on our Raspberry Pi, as well as our AE LightGun to the Raspberry Pi's USB port, we are ready to power on our Raspberry Pi and boot up RetroPie. So once you boot up RetroPie, you want to navigate to MAME or Arcade, and you want to locate your LightGun games. So I have them here listed within MAME in their own section called LightGun Games. So I'm going to jump in here. You are going to want to use a keyboard now in order to continue on with the setup process, because you need to be able to access the tab button on your keyboard. So I have this handheld keyboard here just because I can use it wirelessly. I don't have to be up close and personal with my setup. I can be back here, which is where I want to be for setting up an AE LightGun. You want to be about anywhere from 4 to 6 feet at least away from your TV or monitor, just to give yourself some range from those sensors. So we're going to jump in here to the LightGun games, and we're going to select the LightGun game to test out the process of mapping everything and setting everything up. So I'm going to jump into Alien 3 The Gun. It's one of my favorite LightGun games, so I'm going to select this game here, and we're going to let it load up a little bit. Alright, so once you let the game load in, what you want to do is you want to hit the tab button on your keyboard. So we're going to tap that. It's going to pull up this little menu right here, and you want to go down to the second option which says Input this game. So this is where we're going to map the controls of our AE LightGun with the particular game. So I will mention on here, you will have to do this process for most of your LightGun games. I haven't found that many of them pull over from one game to another, so plan on going in and inputting each of your games for MAME with your AE LightGun. You may get surprised and find that they're already set up, but definitely plan on double checking them. Luckily, this is a really quick process because for the most part with LightGun games, you're only actually assigning 1 to 4 functions at all times with an AE LightGun. So we're going to jump into Input this game. So once we're in here, we want to locate the Player 1 Button 1 function. So you can see that's the third option down in this case. So with our keyboard, we're just going to go down with the arrow keys and highlight that option. We're going to now hit Enter on our keyboard, and we're going to pull our trigger. You want to make sure that you're pointing your AE LightGun at your screen when you do this. That's going to assign this function as the trigger function. So I'm going to hit Enter, going to aim my gun, pull the trigger, and you notice that we get those 3 dots on that line. That means that the trigger has been mapped to that function. So Player 1 Button 1 is always going to be your trigger no matter what game you jump into. It may look a little bit different, maybe spelled out versus abbreviated, but it's always going to be your trigger function. In this particular game, we have 2 functions to map though, because we also have the grenade function. So if we go down with our arrow key on our keyboard, you'll notice that it says Player 1 Button 2. That's going to be our grenade function. So same thing, select it with the Enter button here. And once you do, you can assign it to any of these additional buttons that you have available on the AE LightGun. I typically go with the first one up here just because I can lift my thumb from the handle right up there and hit that. I don't need to use 2 hands. So I'm going to select it with my Enter button on my keyboard, and I'm going to hit that button. You notice that it populates in as number 1. That means that it was assigned correctly. So now we're going to drop down to coin 1. In this game, we don't have a start button because you just utilize the trigger as your start button. So we're going to go to coin 1. This is going to be where we insert coins because this was an arcade game. So we have to insert coins in order to start the game. So we're going to do the same thing, hit enter on our keyboard, and we can assign that to any of the additional buttons that you haven't already mapped on your AE LightGun. So I'm going to just go with the next one up from the grenade function. So hit enter on your keyboard and then assign it to whichever button you want. You notice that it populated in as number 2. So we're all set here. We don't need to assign any other functions here. So I'm going to scroll down with the arrow key on my keyboard to where it says return to main menu. I'll select that with enter. And here you can either hit tab on your keyboard or scroll all the way down to where it says return game and hit enter there. I'm just gonna tap the tab button and I'm right into this game now. So I'm going to insert my coins. You can see my credits are going up on the screen and I'm gonna pull my trigger, which doubles as a start button here. So that acted as a start button. So we're not done with the setup process yet. We next have to calibrate this. So the way we calibrate it is you're gonna notice there's a button right here in the front of your trigger. We're going to hit that. We can hit it once we get into a place where our light gun should be tracking. So I'm going to hit that and I'm gonna pull my trigger. And you notice that we're gonna ignore the game right now because we're just gonna start getting beat up pretty bad here. But you notice that now up in the top left corner, I have my crosshairs. So I'm going to aim to that and I'm gonna pull the trigger. Now it's going to populate down in the bottom right corner. You can see it's a little cut off here, but we're going to aim at it there now. And now we're going to track our movement. If our movement is nice and smooth like it is right now, then we're good to go. You may have to do this a handful of times though. You may notice that you're trying to just move your crosshairs and it might be like moving smooth and then cut out. If it's cutting out or it's not consistent, you need to hit the calibration button once again and do that again where you shoot in the corner and then shoot in the bottom corner. If it's still splotchy and not consistent, you got to keep going. It may take 2 times, it may take 1 time, it may take 25 times. You have to just keep doing it. It gets a little frustrating if you have to do it multiple times, but you're going to want to do it until it's consistent on there. So I let the game time out here, so I'm going to add my coins again, and I'm going to show you that now it's consistent. It did work for me the first time there. So I'm adding my coins, pulling my trigger, and once we get through this scene, we're going to be able to actually show you guys again what the movement is like on here. All right, so I should be able to show you now the crosshairs. So they're tracking really smooth there. You can see I'm just making circles here and they're moving just exactly where I'm aiming. So everything is perfect. I'm able to aim perfectly on here. Again, if it's not doing it and you're not getting the same results that I am right here, you got to keep hitting this calibrate button right here and continue to just hit the crosshairs in the top left corner and then the bottom right corner until it's nice and smooth like it is for me right now. You can see that the action on here is perfect. Let's test out our grenade function on the next batch of aliens. So let me hit that button there. Where are you guys? There we go. So it throws the grenades. Everything's working perfectly. Trigger's great. Aim is great. And of course that grenade button, which again I'll hit right here once a couple guys pop out just to test it once again. Where are you guys? So let me throw it in there. Boom, works perfectly. So let's jump out of this game and let's test out one other one. All right, so the next game I want to jump into is Operation Wolf. So we're going to jump into this game next. We'll let it load up, same as we did for Alien 3 The Gun. And once we get in here, you can see the crosshairs are on the screen. Now the calibration is going to carry over from one game to the next, so you don't have to recalibrate ever. One calibration is going to work for all of your light gun games. So I can prove that just by circling across here. You can see nice and smooth for the movement of the crosshairs on screen. So we have to do the mapping for the actual trigger and the different buttons on the actual controller here. So we're going to hit tab on our keyboard again. It's going to pull up the same menu. We're going to go down to that second option which says input this game. We're going to hit enter there. And this is a really easy one. I've actually already done this one previously, but I'll redo it with you guys today. So for coin 1, we're going to assign it to any of the buttons on our light gun. So I'm going to select it with enter and I'm going to tap this first button here because we don't have, I'm pretty sure we don't have 2 buttons for this. It's just the trigger. Yeah, just the trigger for this game, so we don't have like a grenade function like we did on Alien 3 the gun. So I'm going to leave it as that first button. So after our coin is done here, we need to go down to player 1, button 1, which again is our trigger. We're going to hit enter on our keyboard, aim our gun at our screen, and pull the trigger. So enter on the keyboard, pull the trigger. You can see that we get those 3 dots up there. So it is properly mapped. We're going to next go down to player 1, start. So we're going to assign it to, again, one of those buttons on the light gun itself. So enter on the keyboard, and I'm going to hit this button right here. So the 3 populates in. We're good to go here. Everything is mapped. We're going to hit return to main menu, and then from here, tab or drop down to return to game and hit enter. So I'll hit tab. So we should be able to get rid of the keyboard now, and we'll test this out. Let's add some coins, put in 8 credits here, and let's hit our start button on our light gun. So that brings us into the game. You can see our movements tracking on screen. Calibration looks perfect. So we will get started here. All right. So there's no reloading on this one, which is nice. Unlimited bullets, although you do have to pick some up in the game. Everything's working really nicely here. Get some more bullets. So really nice movement. Calibration again, perfect. Really happy with how this is. I haven't played this game in forever, but this is a classic LightGun game. Forgot I'm supposed to hit the medics, right? That's a no-no. Need to work on my skills for this game, but you can see again, LightGun's working really nicely. Calibration's perfect. I think I hit the nurses better than I hit the soldiers here. Alright, so that's it for me. Didn't get very far in this game, but everything works beautifully here for the AE LightGun within RetroPie. Tracking really nicely. Just don't have enough nice things to say about the performance here. Alright, so you can see from this video that the process for setting this particular LightGun up with RetroPie is pretty simple. You just have to follow the steps outlined in this video. So if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to hit me up in the comment section below or reach out to me directly. Always happy to help you guys out any way I possibly can. So that's gonna do it for this video. If you found this helpful and you enjoyed this video, smash the like button for me. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel just to stay in the loop for future videos. We do a ton of stuff based around retro gaming. We do product reviews, gameplay demos, tutorials like this one. We also have the Forgotten Favorites YouTube series every Monday and Thursday night. So lots of great content to see on here. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, check us out online on our website, www.retropieguy.com. Thanks for watching.